my face. Okay, here we go. Listen, what document have you sent me? Face. Got it. Okay, here we go. Good evening.
Okay. The document I sent you, sir, was just the project charter for the project I'm taking on.
All right.
So it has the details of everybody's responsibilities.
All right, Tosin, thank you. Let me just take that. Let me deal with this first. We'll come back to that. Thank you. We'll do it. Here we go. Welcome, everybody. Oh, I think I'm on the wrong page. There we go. Why people get refused visas and jobs. Okay, I need somebody, a volunteer for an experiment, although I understand internet is playing up. Should we take Mr. Daniel? Mr. Daniel, are you able to be a volunteer from where you are? Can we hear you? Whoever's got good reception and good background will be a fantastic requirement met for this volunteering. So good evening, people at home, people on YouTube, people on Facebook, wherever you are. Good evening. This is Talkswell Child, CEO of Ace Professionals, bringing to you why people get refused visas. So if you have people who, such as visitors, students, settlement, whatever type of visa, work visa, is more or less what we deal with, why people get refused visas. So it's a very interesting thing. But my issue is I want to volunteer before I start. And I'm not sure there's good enough internet reception. So, Tosin, have you got good reception? Mr. Daniel, have you got good reception?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. So, Tosin, the experiment is very simple. I'm going to give you compliments, okay? And I want to see how well you handle it. Then I'm going to do the opposite. I want to see how well you handle that as well. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
There we go, Tosin. You're a genius. You're one
Thank you very much,
kind.
sir.
You're in the level of Einstein and more. And the
Oh,
world,
thank you, sir.
the world is grateful for you being here. You're an asset.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, so I want you to note in your mind, Tosin, how did you take those compliments? Just note them, don't say anything.
Okay, sir.
Now, we're about to flip the experiment. We're going to flip it to the other side. So we're going to say, Tosin, you are not needed in this environment. You are not wanted. You're not particularly fantastic. Everything you do is ordinary. Yeah?
Yes, sir.
So I flipped both things. I want you to see the feeling you get from both of them. Which one of these feelings do you think would linger? Which one would you remember the most? That you're a genius or that you're not needed? Which one stays more in the memory?
That I'm a genius.
Interesting. Fantastic. Mr. Ele, do you agree? I don't know what I'm saying. I can speak in this environment. Hello, sir. Well, we can't get from Mr. Ele. Mr. Daniel, we can't hear from him. Tola, man, Tola, can you try? Reception is a problem. We're going to go ahead. So, Tosin, you are fantastically engineered. You remember that you're a genius. However, for majority of the people, when they look down their past, they remember the negative associations more than they remember the positives. They don't remember how well they've done. They just remember things that they've done wrong.
Oh.
I'm just like you're saying, oh, that's the reaction. However, they could change. Redemption is available. It's not impossible. So for people who go to embassies and remember that this is what happened. This is why I was refused. And this is what happened. This is why this person was refused. And they go with this fear, they go with this vibration. Chances are they attract that vibration, they attract those results to themselves. But we'll look at from a logical world, what are those things stopping them from getting the visa that they desperately need if they have, a job opportunity, a travel exposure opportunity. There we go. So yes, if you've just joined us, we're talking about what are those barriers, what are those obstacles that stop people. We're looking out for key things that's holding people back from getting the jobs that they're looking for desperately. So is it skills? Which one comes to mind? Is it qualifications? Is it certifications? I bet you're asking. Well, we'll find out and then we'll clarify. Here we go. So common reasons people get refused visa. Number one, visa application can be refused for a variety of reasons, including insufficient funds. This is very common. So it'll be financials, supporting documentation. That is, they cannot make a very, very strong assessment of you based on the documentation you've submitted. Also, incomplete application. You've stated some things, but it's not given a clear narrative. It's given an almost, you say, a half-baked story. So people don't know exactly what to think about you. And then the final one is you attend the interview and everything you're saying is not corresponding with what you've written down. So now they have a conflicting narratives. So these are common things. So the people applying, they don't stop to reflect. They just keep going and keep getting denial, refusal. However, you can actually pause and say, what am I doing wrong? Why are they stopping me? Why am I not getting this job? Why am I applying for 30 jobs straight and I'm getting turned off like, oh, sorry, you're not appointed this time. Sorry, you were not shortlisted. You need to figure out what's going on. Now, this visa and jobs, they do come together in terms of meeting up the criteria, the requirement they're expecting you. So if you fulfill the requirement, it's so easy. It's almost like you're doing an exam. It's a math exam, your final year. You've revised, you've learned, you know exactly what questions you can do, you know what you cannot do. When they give that paper to you and you see a question you cannot do, you know well to stay away from that. You know well to focus on the questions that you can answer. And what happens? They assess you based on the responses you've given. Before you go away, you know the result that you're going to get. Yeah, you're well aware of the results you're going to get. Let's see. But people don't get that all the time. So here we go. Employment restrictions and labor market tests. So what's happening? Why people don't get the when applying for a job abroad, you need to be aware of employment restrictions. So there is something called the shortage occupation list. Now, in the UK, the shortage occupation list was updated on the 8th of August. So there's some jobs that were there that were removed. There were new jobs that were put on board, and there's some people that are responding to that. So if you are in the construction industry, you are being looked for. However, it's not everybody in the construction industry that does not have certain certification that can get through. You need to come prepared. How are you going to tell them that you've been working for the last 3 years? Is it pictures you have? Is it experience? Is it testimonials? What are you bringing on board? These things are important. So some countries have restrictions on certain types of jobs, such as healthcare, education, public services. Make sure you're eligible for your chosen field. How do you make sure you're eligible? You show them certification. You show them a track record. You show them a story, a narrative that puts you in the driving seat, puts you in somebody competent. Now, we've had chaoses. We've had some really, really big dilemma. In the world, we judge people based on their certification and experiences. Now, sometimes people fit into this category and they still make a mess of things. Now, if they're making a mess of things and they've done everything, they've got the right qualifications, then we think there's something wrong. However, in terms of statistics, that's like less than 1%. But the majority of times, people who qualify for stuff have certification and experience. They don't have a problem. They go ahead and they do very well. Yeah, they perform extraordinarily well in their fields, given the support that is necessary for them to work well with the team. Labor market test. Employers may have to demonstrate that they could not find a local candidate before they are allowed to hire foreign workers. So employers have to do a labor market test. That is, have you advertised the job in the country? Have you given that job enough times? Did you give that job enough exposure? People don't know about this, but these are key things that employers are responsible to do. Make sure you have a strong CV, a fantastic cover letter that will fulfill the job requirements. You need to look at the job. What they're asking you to do. Can you carry out this job? Are you the perfect fit for it? Round peg, round hole. Let's see how we go. Documentations and eligibility issues. So when applying for a visa or job abroad, you need to provide accurate and verifiable information about your qualifications. So for example, they've created different organizations that can quality check your certification is correct and is the right level, and they can compare it across board. So you have ECTIS in the UK, you have IELTS standards for Canada, United Kingdom, US. So all these kinds of exam, they standardize quality assurance. So any discrepancies or inconsistency can lead to refusals or just rejection. So your skills assessment, you may undergo some skills assessment. In teaching, for example, they have the test that you do to get your QTS. The maths and English test, you don't pass one. If you pass one, it doesn't allow you to go. So you never become a qualified teacher without passing all of the bare minimum tests. Same is what you have in nursing. You have CBT and you have IELTS. So they want to know, one, you can communicate effectively, write reports that are accurate. Two, you understand cognitive behavior therapy. So the theory, you have to look at the cognitive behavior. So how do people behave in certain duress, and how do you handle? Do you have emotional, what do you call it, intelligence in different environment, different setting? Also, in countries where they have a different language that's common from where you're coming from, they need to see that you have met the language requirement. So they'll have a language test for you, English or French or the other languages in different countries. Educational credential assessment. This, they kind of evaluate it. I've talked about it. They standardize this. If your degree or diploma was obtained outside the country, you may need to get it assessed by an authorized body. Again, they do this with license, with insurance. So let's imagine you are a chartered accountant. Depends on who knows that you're a chartered accountant, what body is certifying you. Is that body international or local? So you need to make sure you are well aware of the key things that surround your applications. Here we go. Now, criminal records. So they want to know whether you were once a criminal, an untold story. You used to be a pirate, nobody knew about you. Here we go. When applying for visa or a job abroad, you need to disclose any criminal records. So maybe you were not the person. Maybe we had a case recently of a fellow who's been accused of a crime that he's never done. But the person who's done that has exactly the same name. So for him, it's important for him to actually state and say, listen, I'm not this person, though we share the same name, same everything, but we're different people, different dates of birth. So I am not the criminal in question. So this is important. Now, by the time you have provided all the documents, done the application correctly, proved that your certificates are accredited and comparable, and now that you're showing that you were once or not a criminal, you now improve all of your credibility. Your narrative becomes robust. Chances they take you becomes higher. So they're now considering why they should take you, because everything is looking like all the dots are in a row. Custom border control. You may have to go through the immigration upon arriving at the country. So they'll check for certain substances. You have a limit of liquid that is allowed to onboard different aircraft because of it being flammable and chances that it increases the risks of danger on board. Immigration and entry requirements. So certain airports will tell you that they need to have your valid passport, they need to have your traveling visa and your supporting documents. Depending on the capacity that you're traveling, you may need to provide all of those things. So here we go. When applying for a job abroad, you need to meet the skills and qualification requirement for the role in the country. So you need to have a strong CV. We can't overemphasize that. The number of CVs that I've seen that look so feeble and, almost like you'll be casting and breaking somebody's hope if you tell them that you're not going anywhere with this, as well as presenting yourself competently and confident candidate. So that is, you need to match up what you're saying on your CV, what you've written down in black and white. Your resume, your cover letter need to be spot on. They use something called ATS, like a metric system. It matches the job description, looks at certain keywords, and looks for the sector and the industry, and it matches your CV to that. Depending on the type of match, almost like what they use to check for people who copy in terms of text. So they check if there's some kind of accuracy, and they'll say, yeah, you've passed ATS at this percentage. The closer you are, the higher the percentage, the better your chances of getting the job. Interview etiquette. Are you dressed appropriately? Are you professional? Are you not wearing a summer wear like I'm wearing here in the UK because it's essentially hot today? Did you research the company? Do you have questions for the company? Are you, able to pique their interest in the interview? Or you're just sounding like you're not really, really concerned? They have to impress you. So you've got to manage your ego, not to be coming up as egotistic, at the same time, not to be coming up as uninteresting. Networking and referrals. Use your personal, professional network to find job leads. So you've got a mentor somewhere, you've got somebody you work with, somebody who was your teacher. Use them, connect them. I remember getting to the UK, I was lucky enough to bump into my teachers, and my old teachers in Africa was like, yeah, sure, I'm more than happy to give you a referral. I'm more than happy to find you a job. Opportunity begins for me. So it was fantastic. Attend industry events. Are you making yourself available to go to all the fairs in your particular industry? Do you know what's happening around you? Interview preparation and presentation skills. Now, this is where we come to the end of the road in terms of key things you need to do for you not to miss out on the job or miss out on the visa. When you apply for a visa or a job, you need to have strong presentation skills, interview preparation. So it's not the aggressiveness. It's not people shouting over others. It's the fact that sometimes if your confidence is great enough, even when you're quiet, people can still feel the energy of what you're talking about. You can still look really distinguished. You can still come across professional. You can still come across credible by the way you carry yourself, by the way you speak, your body language, by the way you're dressed, the way you look, and the etiquettes that you show. So let's look at this. In summary, communication skills. Practice your speaking and listening and reading. Writing skills to ensure that you communicate effectively in local language English or English. Use clear, concise language and ask clarification when needed. So we at ACE, we've given this course out called Effective Communication. We understand how important communication skills ranks in terms of soft skills that you need. You don't have it, you have almost no chance to compete in a very, very highly competitive world. So you're better off working hard and making sure that you are giving yourself the best chance to get your foot in the door. Now, interpersonal skills. Be aware of your body language, social cues, be respectful, polite for your interviews and immigration officer. Use positive and enthusiastic language to demonstrate your interest and motivation. So basically, you've got to sound convincing, interesting. If I was here and I was bringing this to you flat and I was talking like, be aware of your body language and social cues, it would not be interesting enough. You wouldn't be coming up with what you need to know. You won't sound engaged. This will not particularly do it for you. So when you're talking about, depending on what you're talking about, understand the body language has to match the nature, the background of what you're trying to carry across. Cultural understanding, research a country's cultural norms. Now, I was in a Zoom call yesterday, and one of the cultural norms on my Zoom call yesterday required me not to have a background behind my screen. That to them was professional. Now, from our side over here in the Western world, in Zoom meetings, you can blur out, you can have a different background. Nobody bothers about it. It's fine. They feel that you're trying to protect their privacy and you're giving people a professional background. However, in a different culture, they seem to take offense if they can't see your background. It's almost like lack of credibility instantly. So these are key things you need to study before you go applying for a job internationally, or you're trying to get your visa and they're interviewing you, and you basically don't understand whether you're disrespecting them or you're respecting them. Here we go. There are 541 jobs in the IT sector on just manpower. There's several jobs. Now, why is it that there are lots of IT experts, but they're not getting these jobs? Yeah, some of the things we talked about earlier. But when you tell these people that you need to get the skills to access these jobs, like tools, like a key to a car, but what would they do? They probably wouldn't understand what you mean. This is another example. IT jobs over here is a lot. So we've got things such as IT teacher, junior data analyst, IT infrastructure. So these are on the junior side of things. You have IT infrastructure engineer. This is up to 60K. So this is more mid-range. And this one here is also mid-range. It's not going to be for somebody who's just starting. So the jobs are there, the opportunities are there, but do the people have equipped skills to get the jobs? No. So that's where the gap is. That's where the major issue is. The visas are there. The countries want people who are fantastic to come in to help boost their economy. But are they getting that? No, they're not quite. Do they get people lying to them and confusing? So they're stuck. They have a quota to meet and they have a quota not to go above. So their issue is to make sure that they get as much as the right visas given to the right types of candidates. There we go. You want to get into teaching, you may be able to get into teaching to EU citizenship. You may be able to get into teaching with the youth mobility visa that's applicable to certain countries only. So West African countries used to be part of this, but I understand that they've withdrawn them from this opportunity. So it's important we manage ourselves so we stop losing opportunities. Point-based immigration system. People have the imagination that this is there forever. I don't think it is. I think the opportunity is there if we don't misuse it. If you're sending the best and also you're keeping the best and people bringing things back home, the opportunity will be open. But if people come and they misrepresent us and they miscommunicate and they create opportunities for misunderstanding, chances are this opportunity will also disappear. So this is another way to enter teaching. Points-based system, you have to get what, 70 points out of 100, and they give you the points for your COS, your English test, the job, the salary requirements. All of this are key things that they give you, credentials and stuff. So depending on what you do, if you go on gov.uk, you will be able to find where you rate in the point-based immigration system. An ancestry visa grants. So if your parents or your grandparents were Commonwealth or born in the UK or lived in the UK, chances are you can use that route as long as you have proof to get into the UK and you can come into your education. So planning, it's important not just to make a plan before you begin, also to change directions when things go wrong. The sooner you change direction, the faster you can reach your goal. So I have certain questions I want to talk about visas today. What are the key things that ACE as a company offers? We offer product, services, and we give out both. What type of people are employers looking for? Improved candidates, measured, reflective, constantly growing workers. What kind of things do we do to support? We give you workshops, training courses, webinars like this one, CV services, interview skills, references. Now, soft skills is not something that comes up as you need it, but believe me, people suffer a lot because of lack of it. So it's not looking so obvious. Even presidents that lack it, they do suffer. Politicians, they do suffer. It is important for you to always have a growth mindset and continuously develop yourself. Here we go. So for education, in summary, we give training and portfolio, and we give portfolio only. So if you want to get your QTS, all of these are options you can come through to us. Go ahead and dream big. Have complete faith that the infinite intelligence will do everything possible to make manifest your most wildest dreams. Section 4. So what is it, the process to get in touch with us? The process is this meeting here, an information meeting. We're giving you all the information. Now we're going to bust it into discussion. We're going to ask people questions. What have they heard? We'll make it a little bit interesting for you. Decision-making link. So you need to either contact us via our website or any of our handles on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. The opportunity is there for you to contact us and we will respond. If you're looking for any package, once you've paid for the package, you get your packages. Majority of our things are online and we do support and give after-service support. And once you get the job, that's it. You can go straight for a visa application. Again, we will prepare you and tell you the key things. As long as you follow instructions, chances for your visa becomes high. So they say success is not a game of chance at all. It's a game of probabilities. And how do you increase your probabilities? You make sure you give yourself the highest possibility of a higher probability. Here we go. So knowledge attracts abundance when it's organized, intelligently directed through practical plans of action. Like all of this, I couldn't just sit here today if I didn't plan all of this and just sit here and blah, 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 blah. That would not be useful to anybody. But I wanted to tell you, don't be that person that goes for any job and don't get it. Don't be that person that goes for any visa and don't get it. Why? Because if you have the correct information, you increase your chances of a higher probability of success. So this is the end of our presentation today. The rest is just going to be general discussions. So I want to ask my audience if they can afford reception for me, because sometimes reception blocks our conversation. So please, whoever is available, I'm not sure whoever's reception is not playing up. I apologize to the audience who's listening. It's just a network issue in different countries. Can anybody tell me what could be possible reasons, possible barriers that could stop people from getting visas? Madam Tola, are you there? So Daniel, are you there? The internet plays up a lot. Madam Tosin, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Okay. I was asking you, what do you think stops people from getting visas? And I'm going to say some really important thing towards the end of this. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Daniel, are you speaking or should I continue?
Okay. One major thing that causes denial is when information are conflicting.
That's correct. So they have conflicting information is regarded as misinformation. And for them, because they don't know you, they can think of it as deliberate. They don't have the opportunity to think about it as it's a mistake, it's an error, you didn't mean this, you just said this by accident. They don't know you. So at the end of the day, they think it's deliberate, and at the end of the day, they think you're just leading them on wrong route. So they don't have any other choice but to deny you because they really can't understand what you're trying to communicate. Yes, Madam Tosin, go ahead. Madam Tosin, go ahead. Yeah, reception can be really wonderful thing. 1 minute here. Mr. Ele, are you there? Madam Tola, are you there? Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, Mr. Ele, what do you think can be a thing that can get people to be refused visa?
So I would think when their information doesn't add up, that's what comes to my mind physically. And I'll also suspect that maybe they have quotas. So when they meet their quota, then they might reject people even if everything adds up.
Possibly. Now, a very, very common one is financially. They want to know that you're not going to be a burden. Every country wants an asset to come into their country. If you appear financially viable, then they don't have a reason to hold you back. But if you look like you do not have financial support, chances are they start scrutinizing you clearly to make sure that you don't become a liability. And they start finding out where you're going to stay, who you're staying with, when are they going to pay you, how much money are you carrying on you? All those kind of questions are, and the unnecessary parts starts coming out. So if your information also starts missing the point, or you don't understand their question and you didn't ask them to repeat it, they imagine that you're deliberately trying to lead them wrongly. Also, like Mr. Ele said, they do have a quota. Not particularly, whenever they meet their quota, they don't deliberately try to deny people. They can tell you to reapply if they're being nice. They tell you to reapply. But it sometimes happens that they will deny some people if they have a kind of a fuzzy feeling that this person is not coming up strong with exactly what they want to do. So I would like to hear what people think on YouTube, generally why people get denied visas. But one of the interesting thing is, for those people with sponsorship, some information is coming across that lots of people are getting denied, mainly because they're not thinking through how did they go, what process did they go through. They can't show a clear narrative of where they got their certifications from and how well qualified they are. So whatever system that was very free and easy and soft in the beginning will start scrutinizing you. And can you withstand scrutiny? That's the real question. Are you prepared? Are you tooled up? Are you, have you met the requirements? So that is it. People becoming totally, not ill-equipped, well-equipped for whatever they're going to do. So that's when you start seeing your chances of getting a visa increases. So I've seen people who were students, I've seen people even who had a lot of money, but they had too much money and they couldn't explain it, how they were related to the too much money, and they still got denied. When they tried for students, because they had a history that they were denied before, they still got denied. And some people get denied because they look like somebody else is just a criminal. Just unfortunate. Crazy, different things happen. It's important we effectively communicate. Tola, are you here? Do you want to add to us?
Yes, apologies. Network keeps going on and off, so I had to log out and log in back a lot of times.
That's fine. Sorry about the difficulty. That's fine. We just wanted to know your thoughts on why people get denied.
Okay, I think I heard Mr. Daniel when he was mentioning conflicting information. So if I was to comment, that's what I would have commented to when your information is conflicting. And like you mentioned, if I heard you correctly, the aspect of scrutiny, they don't know you. So when you cannot defend what you have on paper or what you submitted, no matter how good your intentions, how sincere you are, once what you submitted is conflicting and you are not able to go through their scrutiny process because of that, you can get denied. So, and also the fact that if there's no, you can't account, like you just said now, for like if you have so much funds in your account, you can account for those things. It raises a red flag for them. So they are looking much more than you having all your qualifications and everything. They want to really know if this is not all arranged just for you to get a visa. So then the scrutiny comes in. So I think those two position actually would have been what I would have said as to why people get denied.
Fantastic. Thank you. Madam Tosin, are you able to speak right now? Is your audio up to the speed? I'm not sure Madam Tosin is with us here in terms of reception. It's okay. So in summary, to summarize everything, I want to thank everybody here and thank people who watch this whenever you watch this. The key thing is, if you're applying for visit visa, you need to make sure that your documentation is spot on, that you're not looking like you're a liability. It looks like it's the easiest visa to get, but it's also the easiest visa to deny, because if there's suspicions or grounds for any suspicions that you're not a genuine visitor, that's it. The grounds could range from the money and the salary that you say you collect, you don't collect it, the money in your account does not show that you can look after yourself on the trip, or you have enough to sustain yourself upon returning, or you intend to return. All of this are, key opportunities. They're red flags that gives them, let's deny this person. That's the only sensible thing to do. Now we'll move on. If you are planning to go for student visa, you have to meet the qualification requirements. It's also one of the easier visas to get, because as long as you've met the requirements, there's not a lot of chances. But if you were a criminal or you've been denied before and you did not state this, you will miss the opportunity. If you also don't fulfill the narrative that you are a genuine student, that you intend to study, or you applied and you can't speak any word of English, but you've said that you've got this degrees and certificates, they would lead in one direction only, a refusal. If you're going for work, which most people are trying to go for these days, but they haven't invested enough time in themselves in terms of their qualification and their soft skills. If you are one of those people that you are either in the UK, you've arrived and you can't find a job, or you're just about to come, as long as you have a growth mindset and you're developing yourself, your job is there. You're going to get your job. You're going to get the opportunities. But if you have the opposite, where you think things are going to be easy for you when you're not equipping yourself with the right equipment and meeting the requirements, no employer, including myself, we're not looking for a liability. What everybody's looking for an asset, somebody who brings value. So I'm in contracts, in conversations, I'm bringing value to people. That's the only conversation. That's the reason they will have a conversation with me. So every invitation is about value. So I would say when you're coming to work in the UK, make sure you're clearly showing that narrative, the certificates, the expertise, the experience, the testimonials. All of this are important. They're really not just over the top. It may be looked upon as something that is unnecessary where you're coming from. The culture here is such that those things are a requirement. Your references are so heavy, they're so important, and they may call on your referees. And should things go wrong at work, your referees will be called upon. That why did you refer this person, knowing fully well that they are incompetent? So people are very careful who they give references to over here. It's not a shabby business. It's a serious thing. So when they see you are coming highly decorated reference, they believe you are capable, and they would leave things in your hand and responsibilities will go to you. So to who much is given, much is expected. So you expect much, then you be prepared to give much. That's all it is. So in summary, for all the other types of visas, the settlement visas, all of those things are merits of you proving your relationship to whoever you're bringing you in. But any other thing that comes via merit, you need to make sure your documentation is correct and you're giving people the clear narrative. And in an interview, you're coming up, not giving them a wrong body language, not scratching your head, not mumbling and waffling in front of them. You've got to come out straight and give them the clear expected answers. If you need help with all of this, at Ace Professional we do this. I would invite you to contact us. Let's see. Here we go. So we have our handles here. This is the website, our telephone number in the UK, our email address. Contact us here, and we will be able to support you on your journey through your relocation if you need our support. And if it's just generally you're not relocating, but you want to be good, you want to be the top of, the one of the best, top 5%, we want to have the edge above other competition, come to us. We'll support you. We're looking for people like that. We'll give you soft skills because that will be the thing that's determinant in the future. Just like everybody's shouting AI today, give it 5 years from now, you'll be hearing people talking about soft skills, and that will be all that people will talk about. And interviews will change. They won't ask you, so where did you school? They would ask you what you're capable of, how can you solve this problem? They'll give you questions that are more narrative type of questions, behavioral questions, or circumstances questions, and see how well you cope and what type of answers. Because guess what? In the depths of our subconscious, we are always who we are unless we get better at solving problems. You cannot hide your value when they ask you certain type of questions. You cannot mask it. You're just always going to deliver it. We'll see who you are. So thank you very much tonight, wherever you are. You've stayed with us for 47 minutes. It's been a pleasure. Again, my name is Talks W. Child. And thank you to the panel that's been here with me. Mr. Yele, thank you very much. Madam Tosa Joseph, thank you very much. Mr. Daniel Sonubi, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to have you here with us. So we will get this video and parts of it cut into YouTube shots. We'll be sending you things. What is trending? People are getting refused. And why are they getting refused? They don't know better. So don't be in that bracket. Watch this video and make your own comments. Yeah, make better decisions. We wish you the very best. Thank you very much. Have a very good evening. Let me